Well, good day, InnovateBio Leadership Institute participants. I'm Russ Reed. I'm a co-PI of Goal 3 of the grant, and I have with me Dr. Tom Tubon, who's actually the co-PI of Goal 3 as well. And we have a special guest today, Laura Gunter, who's the Executive Vice President of InnovateBio, which is our trade association here in North Carolina. And just want to welcome everybody. And hey, welcome, Laura. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Thank you. Thanks for having
Tom?
me.
Russ, Laura, it's great to have you on board.
And as always, in the background is Sean Killebrew, who's our technician par excellence, we might say. And so we just want to make sure that he's acknowledged. He is a military veteran who went back to community college and got his associate's degree and now has a full-time job with Forsyth Technical Community College. Laura, I've had a chance to give you a preliminary briefing on what we're trying to do at with the Leadership Institute, and in particular, this whole idea of how important it is to connect with the trade association. And from my personal perspective, you know that I've been very involved with InnovateBio, and I felt that by being so involved with InnovateBio, I always feel I have a very close connection to companies. And as a result of that, it's much easier for me to understand what the needs are of the companies in terms of what our programs should offer in terms of courses and so forth and the curriculum. But before we get into that, I just want to take it back a bit, Laura, and ask you a little bit about yourself and how you came to InnovateBio. And what is your job as Executive Vice President?
Well, Russ, thank you very much for including me. Obviously, we're excited to be part of this and feel that the leadership at community colleges and other academic institutions is really vitally important for what we do as far as promoting our membership. But I'll let you know that I joined InnovateBio actually in 2013, and InnovateBio is small, was a little smaller even then. And when I joined, I really joined in light of some changes in the legislature and the need to do a little bit more extensive and better job really connecting with individual legislators in the General Assembly in North Carolina. So that was part of my foray into InnovateBio. Prior to InnovateBio, I had worked with local companies from both selling laboratory supplies as well as working with the North Carolina Biotechnology Center, where I was in their business and technology development group, overseeing our the company loan program. So working with the startup companies and understanding their funding cycle and helping them get that pre-seed money that the center offered and continues to offer to this day. With a chemistry degree and an MBA on top of that, and then the local familiarity with the ecosystem, that was kind of how I was a fit with InnovateBio. I could talk the scientific lingo as well as work with the laypersons in the General Assembly. So kind of made it a nice to fit when I came on board. Since that time, my role has obviously evolved and changed as we've grown and as some things have evolved within InnovateBio. And so now my role as Executive Vice President is really supporting our president in particular duties and various decision-making functions, really focused still on the government affairs piece and as well as on membership directly, both recruiting and retaining our members.
Thanks, Laura, for that question, answering that question in the way that in the fashion that you did. It's very helpful for us to know your background and essentially the kinds of qualified people we have within the trade group. What is the mission and the purpose of InnovateBio? And if you could speak in terms so that it will relate to people that are in other bio organizations across the country, that would be great.
Well, our main mission at InnovateBio is really to work with federal, state, and local officials from a policy perspective, so that governmental affairs piece. But the role in that is really to improve North Carolina as a location for life science discovery, innovation, and commercialization. So the things that we consider are what sorts of policies would improve and or would hinder those endeavors. What makes it attractive for companies to come here? Obviously, workforce is a huge component of that. When companies are considering where they will land as far as manufacturing, the workforce is just a huge piece of that. And so we want to make sure that remains front of mind for legislators, so that as they're making decisions, they are keeping those things in the forefront of their mind. And really what that does, if you think about workforce, that's really educating and creating opportunities for North Carolinians that are already in the state. So companies may come here, but the vast majority of people that will work in those facilities are coming from the local communities in North Carolina. So that's really a vitally important component of that, policy work that we do. Our second piece of kind of our second, I guess, purpose and mission is then to support the members that we have, both from that policy perspective, but really being able to bring together that ecosystem. And that ecosystem is made up of the core businesses and companies that are members of NCBio. So those are literally startups, whether they're university spinouts, company spinouts, they're preclinical, clinical stage, later stage in manufacturing, across bio, ag, pharma, medical device, clinical research, clinical manufacturing, or I should say contract manufacturing. All of those companies and industries sort of types that make up that broad arena, including the educational institutions. And so really our purpose is to bring all of those together to give that ecosystem an opportunity to network with one another, to network with legislators and to tell their stories, and to really be able to have that exchange of ideas and values and what's of interest to those companies, and make sure that that information is being shared throughout the community.
Thanks, Laura. That's a very good answer. And actually, I've been around NCBio, I think, for 12, maybe 13 years, maybe longer. I don't know. Maybe it is longer. But every time I hear somebody speak from NCBio, I learn something a little bit more that makes me think. And so I'm really happy to turn it over to my co-PI, Tom Tubon, because his favorite word this week is ecosystem.
Well, on that note, Russ, I'm going to start off with an ecosystem-based question. So, Laura, the bioscience ecosystem of North Carolina is extremely vibrant. It's robust, and you'd mentioned and touched on a lot of different parts that make up that ecosystem. You're talking about policymakers and advocacy, business and industries that constitute some of those major stakeholders in workforce development. From a standpoint of an educator, which many of our participants from the Leadership Institute are coming from, it may seem a little bit foreign to participate in something that's outside of the classroom pedagogy. Our teaching, our core job responsibilities. But I think that this is a really important question. And the question is why is it so important, in your opinion, for our Leadership Institute participants to engage with the trade organizations, such as the one that you're leading here with NCBio?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great question. And really, when it comes right down to it, your participants are really those future leaders when it comes to bioscience education at the community college level. And, as I mentioned, the importance of that workforce and the training that goes on, as we work to ensure that right environment for the life science industry to grow and flourish, we need to work with the educational institutions. We need to make sure that we're helping them understand the ecosystem and know how and what to be training on, and how to work with their the constituents, the students at the community college level. You know, when the leaders at those institutions engage with us, they really sort of more fully understand those industry needs, and also can better share those needs with the students, but also can better share their capabilities with our industry. It is a two-way street. I think understanding what is possible, what can be possible, what's needed, and making sure that sort of two-way communication is going on. I think that understanding industry needs for your leaders really gives them the opportunity to come back and to create, again, specialized, targeted instruction, and really, mentoring to the students, because they can understand what those roles look like in industry, and help the students, figure out how they're going to fit in to the industry, and where they'll be a good fit, and what kind of things they should be studying. So I really think trade association can be that conduit for industry and academia to help value and understand each other's resources.
Thanks, Laura. So in many programs, many of our programs that are focused on biotech from workforce development, we have our advisory boards, we interact with our industries, but yet it's still not enough. It doesn't capture the scope of impact for the community. Maybe it gives us insights into what a particular company needs, and we can design curriculum that way. But in terms of engaging the trade organizations, I can see no better way to do that for an entire community. So I had a fortune in Wisconsin of working with our trade organizations, which is BioForward and Lisa Johnson there, and had the ability I was invited to sit on the board of advisors. And it was an amazing experience to have that inside out look at how the trade organizations operate. But it also is mind changing in terms of how we approach, from our standpoint, academia and workforce development. So that engagement piece is really important for educators and people in our Leadership Institute to engage the trade organizations. What are ways that you think, or you may help to suggest, that educators and participants in the Leadership Institute engage the trade organizations? Membership, for example, and anything else that you can provide insights on, that would be appreciated.
Yeah. Well, I would definitely suggest that, the participants, as they go back to their institutions, that they contact, the trade associations and kind of just ask about participating. I'll tell you that different associations across different states have different membership levels, different, anyway, they certainly interact a little bit differently. So I'm familiar with BioForward, but whether their membership base is entirely similar to InnovateBio or any other association, I don't know. But I think all of the associations are open to working with and understanding and bringing in, the educational side of things. We have various events, and we are generally very happy to include different folks from the different community colleges or universities to come and to participate, again, to network with our members, to attend a forum, attend an annual meeting, that sort of thing. So there's generally opportunity like that. We do have, Russ is on our board, so we certainly do have input in more formalized, committees or board level opportunities. Those obviously change and are different depending on the associations across the country, but I think there's definitely opportunities for folks to engage. One of the things that we have, and I think really is a great example of industry and academia, is our InnovateBio Impact Implementation Group. And InnovateBio Impact is really the sort of the public-private partnership encompassing the university system and the community college system around the state of North Carolina. And they provide specialized training for students to really meet the demands of the industry. And then that implementation group allows those various pieces from the various institutions, along with InnovateBio, the Biotechnology Center, and then various industry representatives to come together just on a routine, basis to just discuss how things are going, and are the things that they set up to do, are they achieving those goals that that industry has in terms of workforce? Are the needs at the community colleges being met in terms of what do they need to be able to better serve industry, and vice versa? So by having that continued dialogue, there's very good familiarity across the groups. So when something does occur, the opportunity to get involved, to take action, to instantly have the network of people already on board, already familiar, already trusting one another is there. So I think that having that ongoing group, even if there's not urgent issues all the time, is really critical for when that urgent issue, does occur, that everybody can really, I think, jump in and understand the value, understand each other, and work toward a common solution.
Thank you, Laura. I appreciate the work that you do for NC Bio and the representation that you have at the level of policy and for the state. And of course, we hear many of the great things that are happening all the way out here in Wisconsin. So I for one, do appreciate the scope of work and the heavy pull that you have in terms of addressing policy and integration of policy to support stakeholders in the bioscience industry. So thank you very much for all you do. Russ, I'm going to hand it back to you, and floor is yours. Oh, you're on mute, Russ.
Thanks, Tom. Can everybody hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Good. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Laura. Laura, we're winding down here. We're at the end of the interview, and I think one of the things we always like to ask leaders who are coaching leaders is, any final thoughts on, from your perspective? You're speaking to the group now, and although they'll be doing this in a not live situation, maybe you have some final thoughts.
I think, the bioscience field and the healthcare industry in general will only continue to grow. So I think, it's a really fantastic time to be in the field at whatever level. So it's exciting that this group wants to continue and explore leadership within the community colleges, and with helping students find their path forward. The pandemic has obviously highlighted the importance of science, and by extension, science education and training. So, I would say that, these leaders and educators, you have a real chance to shape the healthcare industry going forward. So that is, a big opportunity, a big responsibility. So, it's exciting, it's rewarding, it's critical. So I would suggest, really going back and engaging with your trade association, really learning constantly, and make sure that you're sharing with industry. On the flip side, we value very much the involvement from the educational side. So I think just it is critically important that we all really do understand each other. So, you have a tremendous opportunity teaching mostly maybe young people, but certainly folks that are maybe retraining or recertifying, and it's incredibly important and worthwhile. So thank you for all you do, and please engage us and connect with folks like me in your states. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Really appreciate it. Laura Gunter, Executive Vice President of NC Bio, contributing to our Leadership Institute. We're really, really appreciative of that. Tom?
Laura, I don't know what else to say. I think that you've covered so many different bases here. We can spend hours talking about policy, which is one of the topics that that I'm very much interested in, and I think our leadership community will eventually dabble a little bit more in the areas of policy as well. But again, I appreciate what you do on behalf of InnovateBio and the Leadership Institute. We are thankful for your time today, and again, you've given us some wonderful insights, and we thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. And we didn't have a tremendous policy discussion per se. I'm always happy to do that. So any of the leaders that want to contact me, we can get into the weeds on that as well. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.